Now look, we're not professionals. Hey guys, welcome back to Without Shortcuts. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're looking at cornbread today. Now, neither one of us has a real go-to recipe for cornbread. So what we thought we would do is just kind of take you through our thought process a little bit while we're trying to pick out a recipe and then comparing it to something that you buy at the store.
So part of this process is really just figuring out which recipe to pick. As everybody knows, you go online, you can find a recipe for anything in any style you want. So there's a lot of things that go into picking which recipes we chose to use for this particular video. So in particular, you have to think about what's the end product that you're really looking for. In this case, with cornbread, we know that we don't want it to be too cakey, we want it to be crumbly, but at the same time, we do want to be able to pick it up and eat it. We don't want it to just fall apart on our plates and have to kind of press it together.
Right, and we're also looking for something that's relatively easy to make, doesn't have a whole lot of exotic ingredients in it, something that is going to be worth our time to do, as opposed to just grabbing a mix, throwing some water in it, and throwing it in the oven.
And then finally, in doing the research, you find that there's a lot of variations to any recipe. For example, with cornbread, we know that if you're doing it in the South, it's almost 100% cornmeal, almost no flour, compared to the North, where they do add some more flour, make it a little bit more cakey, a little more gluten involved in it. And again, in the South, there's no sweetness added. You want to keep it very traditional. And in the North, they like to add a little bit of sugar or brown sugar or honey. So there's a lot of variations, and you have to kind of pick what are the aspects of cornbread that you liked from previous attempts or from restaurants or whatever you've seen, and try and put those into what you expect to be the end product.
So what we're going to start with is just a basic mix that you'd buy at the store. There is literally everything that you need in this packet except water. So we're just going to dump this here into the bowl.
Nice work, good technical skill there. I'm going to finish this off by adding a little bit of water to it.
All right, I'm going to whisk this up till it's nice and smooth. All right, there we go, looking good.
It's that easy. Prepared pan with a little bit of non-stick spray in it. Make sure we get everything out. We don't want to cut any corners. Everything into our baking dish. Then we're going to take this, we're going to throw it in the oven for about 30 minutes, and bam, we have cornbread. So
That's right.
It's going to be hard to beat that convenience. We're going to have an awfully good end product to make it worth our while.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with this recipe that I picked out. When I was looking through recipes, I wanted something not overly complex, but this one's got melted butter in it, it's got sour cream, it's got a lot of good ingredients, and then it also actually has corn in it, which I thought was a nice touch just for a little bit of added sweetness, and then you get some real good texture from the corn, just something a little bit different. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients. So I'm going to mix together equal parts of flour and cornmeal, and then a little baking powder, some baking soda, and a little bit of salt. So we'll whisk that together real quick. All right, set that aside, and then in a big bowl here, we're going to put together some melted butter, some sugar, and a little bit of honey. So this is going to add some real good sweetness to this cornbread. All right. So that's going to go together like that. All right. And then into this is going to go milk, some sour cream, and a couple of eggs. All right, so that all gets whisked together. All right, and then once that is nice and smooth, We're going to add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Sift that together real quick. Kind of scrape around the edges of the bowl to make sure you get everything incorporated. Okay, so we've got that all mixed together. The last thing that goes in is some corn. That's just going to get folded in here. Just like that. And then we're going to pour the batter right into a nice greased pan. Make sure we get everything in there. Okay, and then this is just going to go into a 400-degree oven for about 25 minutes.
It's going to be tough to beat Brian's recipe as far as the simplicity. It's got great ingredients, so I'm going to try and take it just a little bit in a different direction. I'm going to use a cast iron skillet. I'm going to use buttermilk, a few different ingredients, and put it together just a little differently. Want a little bit of variety, so that way we can really compare which techniques we like, which ones we need to use later, or if one of these is just the way to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cornmeal and my flour. I'm just going to mix those together. Quick whisk, make sure everything is one nice little group. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take and crack 2 eggs into my bowl. Perfect. I'm going to whisk those just a little bit to make sure that they are prepared and ready to put in. Okay, there we go. Now I should have mentioned I do have my skillet on the stove. It's got a ½ a cup of butter in it that has melted and is just getting prepared. So I want to have all of my steps kind of ready to go, and then I'm just going to throw this all together at one time. So my butter is all melted in my skillet. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to put it on my oven pad right here. And then, here we go. So I'm going to take my sugar, I'm going to put it into the butter, and whisk that together. And get a bunch of it on my counter, but that's fine, that's not going to hurt. I just want that sugar to kind of dissolve into it. There we go. Alright. So that's good. Then I'm going to take my baking soda. I'm going to put that into my buttermilk. I'm going to stir those together a little bit. I'm going to take my salt. I'm going to add that into my flour mixture. I'm going to stir that up, make sure that's all together. Then, first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our eggs. This isn't super hot, so it's not going to cook the eggs when I put it in there. So I'm going to put the eggs into my sugar and my butter. Whisk those together. Very nice. Next, I'm going to whisk my cornmeal, my flour, and my salt all into the same. Whoa. Okay, get that just so it's starting to mix up. And then I'm going to add my buttermilk and my baking soda right into the skillet that everything is going to be cooked in, and combine that all together. Now it is specifically okay that there should be some lumps left in this. It doesn't need to be fully incorporated and smooth and perfect. Just mixed and combined so that everything is playing with everything else in our pan. Alright, a couple of lumps left in there, but that is not going to hurt anything. That's just how we want it. Now we're just going to take this skillet as is. We're going to throw that in the oven. We're going to throw Brian's in the oven. We're going to cook them for 25 to 35 minutes. We'll take them out and we'll see exactly which one we prefer.
So our cornbread is out. All 3 of them look and smell fantastic.
We're really excited about what we have, but we're also probably a little bit biased if we were to just look into these and make our own opinions. And we know which is which. So we're going to call in some outside help that may or may not know that they're going to be recruited for this. We're going to set these up on plates and just label them. And we're going to see if we have a winner or if we need to go back to the well and start looking for more recipes.
That's right.
So we'll be right back. Let's see who comes out ahead.
All right, so we've brought our buddy Brett in here as an impartial judge. We've cut a slice of each one of the cornbreads and labeled them. He has no idea which one is which, but he's going to go ahead and taste them for us and let us know what he thinks of the flavor, the texture, and we'll see if we've got a winner for a recipe or if we need to go back to the drawing board.
All right, I'm going in. Obviously, we're going to go with A first, and looks like cornbread. That's nice. Super flaky, really moist. Doesn't really look, I mean, it looks like cornbread. I'd say B looks more like a cornbread. That's got a little lower rise to it. A little bit of crunch on the bottom, which I do like in cornbread. Nice base. I like that one, but that's only A. Cleanse the old palate and go in for B. B looks more like what I would say is a traditional looking cornbread. You know, not too brown on the top, nice sort of a golden yellow corn color. Also, super moist. Nice, kind of flaky. More moist than A. Not quite as flavorful. The A had a little bit more flavor to it. Now we're going to go for the old C. Well, this one's heavy, dense. Oh wow. That one is crazy moist. That one almost tastes like it has real corn in it. Man, that is really good. I'm gonna have to go with C for my choice. It doesn't look like a real cornbread, looks more like a kind of a cake, but man, that one has really good flavor. All three really, really moist. Good crust on the bottom. I'm definitely going with C for my pick.
All right, so Brett, you've made your choice. Just purely out of curiosity, which one of these do you think is a pre-made mix?
My experience with cornbread, I would have to go with B as a boxed mix. It looks. I use boxed cornbread when I make cornbread. I would have to go with B, just the overall look. Still fairly moist, nice and flaky, but it definitely would be my pick for a boxed cornbread.
Okay, so we will go ahead and we will tabulate our results, and we'll be back in just a minute to show you which one is which. We've tabulated our results. We've also tried all three of the cornbreads. It turns out Brett was correct. B is the one that came from a mix.
So while that was clearly the one from the mix, C was clearly the best of the three of these. That sour cream brought a nice little bit of tang to it, but having that real corn mixed into it just made the entire thing so much better. Between the texture and the sweetness, this was definitely the winner in this group.
That being said, A was also a really good cornbread. You got some really good flavor from that buttermilk that's in it, and being made in the skillet, that also gave it a real nice crust along the bottom and the sides. So I think at some point in the future, you're probably going to see another video from us where we do some kind of a combination between the two, and that's what's going to end up being our go-to for cornbread.
And that, doing the work, doing three different recipes, doing the blind taste test, following back up and putting things together that you like in order to make exactly what you want, is skipping the shortcuts. But when you find it, totally worth the work and worth the effort, because then we'll never have to do it again and we'll just have that recipe.
Absolutely. So tag us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Let us know down in the comments recipes that you've tried, ways you've tried to combine things. Let us know how it turned out. And until then, we will see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.